Hello, Melton Guy here with another taking a look at the situation. I have a title for today's podcast. It's called The Day the Earth Stood Still. I'm going to repeat, The Day the Earth Stood Still. The theme kind of goes like this. It's talking about the seriousness of the apolitical events. When I say apolitical, I mean not typical political events. They're beyond political. They're something else, something a little more monstrous than what we're used to. But the seriousness of the apolitical events, the words that have been said, the actions, not only which have and are still happening, so casually allowed by you and me. The attitudes accepted by some representatives and senators and governorships, and even permeating government positions as common as county commissioners. Even in my home county, the corruption is not corruption any longer because that attitude I mentioned above has become accepted to the point of invisibility. In other words, corruption is not corruption. It's invisible. It is no longer ignorance we're talking about. As we understand the word ignorance, but it is something I refer to as chosen ignorance. Now, does that need explaining? Well, I hope I've done that in a book I've written entitled The Offspring of Ignorance, which is out on Amazon right now, and whose theme is really asking the question, can we finally re-examine all the truths and all the myths, customs, and acceptances head on, leaving behind for a while preconceived notions, just long enough to see through the many fallacies and absurdities of our culture and society through many eyes. And those eyes focused on religion, the Bible, the church, the family, and of course our country and traditions and our relationship to the above, and also to our government at large. Our type of democracy, if we still have a democracy. And how in all of it, all we see, hear, experience, do, is due re-examination. It takes a look at how we think we should treat others. And how we should treat others based on what we've always been told. We treat others the way we see those closest to us treating others. So look then, however, at how we think and how we should have relationships with one another. Not just relatives, not just spouses, not just siblings, but relationships, continuous relationships, formal and informal, with those around us. And we look at those things convinced that we are right. This book, The Offspring of Ignorance, which I'm proclaiming needs re-examination. All of it, from start to finish. The offspring of ignorance. Albeit, I share some very personal stories, which are shared using personal glimpses into my life from boyhood to granddaddy. This term, chosen ignorance, is not new because it's been with us since time began, manifesting itself in our acceptances, our beliefs, and the foolishness that is our church, your Bible, your family, your country, and our government, how they've played into the hands of the other. They're all intertwined because we made it so. Now, I went out on a tangent about my book. It doesn't cost that much, and if you purchase it, I believe you'll like it if you like it or not. I believe you will like it, whether you like the book or not. But back to the day the earth didn't stand still. That is the title of today's podcast. The title of today's podcast is about a movie from a long time ago. You may remember, they made a remake of it, and the title of it was The Day the Earth Stood Still. It was a big deal back when I was growing up because it was about flying saucers, as we referred to those spacecrafts back then, unidentified spacecraft. UFOs is what we always talked about. You could hear about it on TV shows. They even had some TV shows about UFOs. But it was a big deal because the very idea of the movie was that finally someone from another planet, from another galaxy, maybe from far away, on a spacecraft, not of this earth, landed and was sitting there. And people were scared because they did not know. They could not do because they didn't know what to do. And in an instant, as you look back in history, in an instant, the day in which they lived became like Groundhog Day. Nothing ever happened. Nothing ever changed because the earth stood still. And as I said, it was a big deal. Everybody was talking about it in school. People said, "You're going to watch the movie Saturday." It came on Saturday night at the movies. Are you going to watch Saturday night at the movies? It's about a UFO. It's about a flying saucer. And I couldn't wait until Saturday night to see it. But when it came time, the movie came on at 8 o'clock. And believe it or not, that was bedtime on Saturday night. And we could not talk my mama and daddy into letting us sit up and watch that movie. And I remember I was so angry because it was so exciting. But the premise is that everybody was so scared, so in a state of not knowing what to do and what to think, that everything just stood still. So get the idea that this great happening in the movie took place and people were so scared stiff, so unsure that everything stood still. New philosophies, new ideas, and all this, everything stood still and nothing was getting done. Now forget the movie for a minute. I just use that movie to get the idea of what is taking place. We've had events in real life, in your lifetime, probably. Well, I'm sure. I'm sure, of course, I was not there, but I'm sure that when everybody heard about the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, that there was a shock. What was going to happen? That really was true. The war between the states, the Civil War, United States Civil War, had not been over very long. And the North was not sure what the South was going to do, and the South was not sure, and they didn't know what this was going to do. So everybody kind of just stood in place until everything got back to some kind of normalcy. And I'm sure a lot of my audience remembers the assassination of President Kennedy, how everybody went numb for a while, and the earth really did stand still. Everything stood still. And it did that way for a while until we started gradually finding some normalcy on how to deal with it, and that disaster didn't loom around every corner. And then the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., we had no idea what was going to happen because of that. It stunned not only the United States, but it stunned the world. And everything stood still for a while until we could know how we were going to handle this, what was going to happen. Are we going to survive this? And then, of course, the day that Ronald Reagan was nearly assassinated, that attempted assassination, it kind of threw the world in shock for a little while. Not as much as some of the assassinations, but the leader of the free world, the most powerful man in the world, someone tried to take his life. And so it stunned us for a while. But we moved on. We were able to find some normalcy in days to come. Now, of course, you cannot think about the day the earth stood still and not think of 9/11. I can remember sitting in my living room watching TV and watched as the second plane attacked the World Trade Center. And I remember for weeks that everything was unsure. Everything kind of stood still. But finally, in each case, the earth began to move again. But I want to tell you, in the minds of many of us, and I would like to believe that we understand what I'm saying, because I really think we all fell into this quandary. From the year 2016 in November, when the man by the name of Donald Trump became president, or was elected president, the earth has, in regards to positive progression in love of nation, love of world, love of each other, in regards to all that, yes, the earth has been standing still, waiting. What is just around the corner? What can happen next? What can this man do that's going to change the face of the world, and surely the face of America? On January the 6th of 2021, many of us thought that the earth, would stand still forever. We thought, for many of us, we thought all that we had lived for and our country had fought for was going up in flames. Yes, I watched it, and it scared the hell out of me. It scared the hell out of us. I think all of us, and I think you're a liar if you say you watched it and did not feel frightened. And now, the courts, etc., some of the rulings that are handed down, the Supreme Court is not doing its job. They're not following the Constitution. I mean, sometimes I feel like the man off the street could do a better job sitting on the bench. But not in the courts have we found relief. Not yet. And only now is the person who orchestrated and allowed the darkest day in recent history beginning to face a jury and a judge, but for something else, not treason against the United States government. We still are waiting for that day and other court days for some of the horrendous crimes against this country will find some closure. But it's not only the courts and it's not only the trials that's keeping this world from starting to move progressively and new thoughts and ideas and relationships. It's the voices. The voices, the depth of ignorance and stupidity is overwhelming. There are many opening their mouths and removing any doubt of the level of their treachery and their ignorance and their apathy towards our survival as a nation. But today, I'll focus for a moment on the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, who, when asked if she would vote for and support Trump if he were convicted in the now ongoing trial and becomes a felon, would she support Donald Trump? She answered with this: if it's against Joe Biden, every time. It sounded as if she said, to hell with the nation. It sounds as if she said it with an attitude of to hell with the nation. I'm right. Not that I'm really right, but I insist I'm right. And I don't want anyone to see it the other way. You know, I don't give a damn if she votes for Biden or not. But to vote for and support the likes of Donald Trump in any case, with what we all know, and we all do know it, in any case is dangerously close to not giving a shit about the United States of America. But to be fair, should we honestly expect anything different from an obvious sister and lookalike of Marjorie Taylor Greene? Hard to tell them apart at this point. And I guess that is what she was going for, to make a statement such as that. And she's a governor of one of the states in this union. But that kind of thing has been endless since 2016. The rhetoric, such as the above, along with the felonious and treasonous crimes of the most disgraced president here and around the world. Even with the many accomplishments of President Joseph Robinette Biden, whether you want to admit it or not, they're out there for anyone to check. Where it really counts in growing relationships with the world, with one another, with filling the gaps, closing up the gorges so we can extend one hand to the other and become one nation again. In that regard, the United States has stood still in somewhat the world. Yes, we look forward to those events, you know, when Donald J. Trump and his partners in treason, even if it includes an obviously apathetic and ignorant governor of South Dakota or any state, to come to justice. For it is the only way in which we can finally say This is the day. This is the day the earth began to move again. It did not stand still. Finally, when we put this behind us, and those who have committed such treacherous and treasonous crimes, and their partners, and their cohorts, come to justice, and we can stop the rhetoric and the lies, and begin to reach out across the aisles, across the world, and touch one another again. Finally, can say, today, the earth did not stand still. We're moving on. As always, share the real truth to anyone who will listen. Share, share, share. Watch the news. Fox, NBC, MSNBC, Truth Social, CNN, Minus Network, Tennessee Brando, Texas Paul, Brian Taylor Cohen. Wherever you see and hear news and can hear anything and everything, then again, share, share, share. Let's do it all to reach beyond the choir that many of us are preaching to. I hope you will give a thumbs up and then subscribe to my podcast. And remember my book that is titled The Offspring of Ignorance. You can buy it on Amazon. And think about that term, chosen ignorance. Think about it. Mull it over in your mind, as they say. Chosen ignorance. I love you all, even governors of all kinds. God bless you all until next time, as Jesus said, above all else, love one another as I have loved you. Thank you.